Hi guys! I'm sorry that I couldn't be there today, but it's very, very important that we continue to move forward as we have. With that being said, you only have 28 days until the EOC, so it is incredibly important that you are working with urgency today. I don't care that I'm physically not in the classroom, but you guys need to be working because it all depends on you. With that being said, before you leave class today, there are a couple of things that you should have. The first is your last interim. We know that reflection on the things that we have done in the past really will help us to move forward. Make sure that you get your last interim back and you're performing 7 corrections on the green sheet for homework. This will be due on Wednesday. The next thing that you need to have before you end class today is you need to have a You've Got Problems homework packet. This homework packet will also be collected on Wednesday. There are about 25 questions on basic skills that everyone should be able to answer. It is incredibly important that you are showing work or else you will receive a 0. So by the end of class, you should make sure you have your old interim and a green correction sheet and a homework packet with a Scantron. If you do not pick one up today, you will still be held accountable for them on Wednesday because you know that you are to pick them up. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with our slope quick drills. So as a reminder, the first chart you have looks like this. We can see in our X columns, we have the 1 and 2, and it looks backwards. But just because it looks backwards, please pardon the technical difficulties, that doesn't mean that we still can't figure out how to do this. So as a reminder, whenever we're trying to find our slope, we first have to find our change in y. So we ask ourselves the question, how do we get from -3 to -8? If you're struggling, make sure you use a number line. But I know that to get from -3 to -8, I have to go down 5. So everyone should go ahead right now and mark that on the first one. We're going down 5. Okay? Then in the X column, we have to see how our X changes. How do I get from 1 to 2? We know that to get from 1 to 2, we move 1 unit up. So go ahead and mark that +1. Now that everyone has that, we know that our final step is to go ahead and make sure we are putting y over x. So it's -5 over 1. So everyone should go ahead and do m equals -5 over 1. So my final slope simplifies to -5. All right. Right now, please pause this video and work through your whole page of slope quick drills. All right. By now, you have checked your answers on your slope quick drills. This is once again something incredibly important that we need to make sure that we know in order to do well in the EOC. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to move ahead. So if you guys can look at the page that says coaching session, I'm going to read the word problem aloud. It says, Miss Pierre Floyd spent $40 on movie tickets and drinks for her son and his friends. The total cost of X movie tickets and Y drinks is represented by the function 8x plus 4y equals 40. What do the points 5, 0 and 0, 10 mean? Displayed under that, you can see a picture that says that tickets are $8 and drinks are $4. Right now, I want everyone to circle the chart that says tickets are $8 and drinks are $4. Go ahead and make sure that that is circled. We can also see that they give us an equation. We need to think about what do the points 5, 0 and 0, 10 mean. So the first question I'm going to ask myself is 5, 0, x then y, or y then x? All of us know that a coordinate point is x then y. So we know that the point 5, 0 means that x is 5 and y is 0. So to figure this out right now, I want you to go ahead and write the equation on your paper. So everyone should write 8x plus 4y equals 40. Since we know that x is 5 and y is 0, we can plug those in. So right now, everyone should go ahead and write 8 times 0 8 times 5 plus 4 times 0 equals 40. Once again, sorry that it's backwards, but your paper should look something like this. Now that we have this in, we can use our basic math skills to solve. Everyone knows that 8 times 5 is 40. So I'm going to go ahead and write down 40 plus, we all know that 0 times anything is 0. So I have 40 plus 0 equals 40. So that tells me that 40 equals 40. Okay, so that checks out. So now that we have that all checked out, we can see that if she is buying 5 tickets and 0 drinks, it's $40. So 50 means she bought 5 movie tickets and 0 drinks for $40. But there's also another thing that could be true. And we know that the other point is 0, 10. So without plugging in, think to yourself, what would that mean? Well, I know that 0 is X, and I know that 10 is Y. So I know that if she got 0 movie tickets and 10 drinks, she would have also spent $40. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at the problem at the bottom. So now she went to the movies a separate time, and this time she spent $12 on movie tickets and drinks. We know now we have a formula in front of us, an equation, 2x plus 3y equals 12. I want you to look back at the problem before and think to yourself, what does the 2 represent and what does the 3 represent? I know that X stands for movie tickets, so I know that in this case it's $2 per movie ticket. I also know that Y in this case stands for drinks, so I know that it's $3 for each drink. So now if I look at the point 0, 4 and 6, 0, I can go ahead and figure out what those mean. In 0, 4, X is 0. So that means that whenever she buys 0 movie tickets, she's buying 4 drinks. Right now, go ahead and plot that on your graph. So if I plot 0, 4, I'm not moving to the left or right at all. I'm just moving up 4. So on your graph, your point should look something like this. It's up on the y-axis. I didn't move left or right at all. I just moved up to 4. Look at that point. What axis does it cross? The y-axis. Therefore, we know that this is called our y-intercept. So you can go ahead and label that y-intercept. Now, let's look at the point 6, 0. So if I look at 6, 0, I know that means that she bought 6 movie tickets and 0 drinks. So once again, I want you to go ahead and plot this on your graph. Go over 6 and don't go up at all. So your next point should be here. In this case, we know that we can label this our x-intercept because that's where it crosses the y-axis. The x-axis. So, this should all be coming back to you now as something we learned earlier in the year. So right now what we are going to do is move on to the next page. So I want everyone to look at the page that says practice makes perfect. At the top it says identify the x and y intercepts and write as an ordered pair. The questions you are going to ask yourself in this case, each and every time you perform these, is where does it cross the x-axis? Where does it cross the y-axis? So everyone right now look at number 1. I want you to go ahead and mark with a point where it crosses the x-axis. Now that you have your point marked, I want you to write down the coordinates. Notice that where it crosses the x-axis, I have moved 2 in the x direction and 0 in the y. So my x-intercept for number 1 is 2, 0. Next, I can ask myself, where does it cross the y-axis? Go ahead, look at your graph, and mark a point where it crosses the y-axis. In this case, you can see that you moved down 2, which is a -2, but you didn't move anywhere left or right. So my point for my y-intercept is 0, -2. Don't be a dummy and screw it up. Remember, it's x then y every single time. Right now, you can go ahead and before you complete the rest of that, I want to do another example. So flip your page over one more time and I'm going to show you a different type. So everyone should now be looking at the next page that says find and graph the intercepts of the following linear equations. Number 1 says x plus y equals 8. I want you to think back to the problem we just did with the movie tickets and the drinks. Whenever we were solving for our x-intercept, or whenever we saw it cross the x-axis, the y was 0. So every single time you are doing this, I want you to write a little chart for yourself. You're going to write x-intercept and y-intercept every time to keep yourself straight. Okay? I know that whenever I'm trying to find the x-intercept where it crosses the x-axis, it's not moving up or down at all. So I know that y is always going to be 0. So I know when I'm trying to find the x-intercept, y is 0. On the other hand, when I'm trying to find the y-intercept, x is always going to be 0. So x is 0. And we know that this is true because for the y-intercept, we're not moving left or right at all. Okay? You're right in the middle. So you're only moving up or down. To solve, go ahead and just plug in 0 for y and find out what your x is. So if I plug in 0 for y, I'm going to have x plus 0 equals 8. So it'll look like this. Now that I have that, I know that anything plus 0 is itself. So I know that my x-intercept happens at 8. So to write my final answer, I would write it 8, 0, because I know from my knowledge that y is 0, that's where that 0 comes from, and that x is 8, that's what you just solved for. So it's 8, 0. Now you can do your y-intercept. Plug in 0 for x. So I'm going to have 0 plus y equals 8. Once again, 0 plus anything is itself, so I have y equals 8. Once again, check the order of your points every single time. So if I'm checking the order of my points, it should be 0, 8, because in this case, I didn't move left or right at all. My x is 0, but I moved up 8. All right. That's your quick tutorial on just as a reminder for how to do x and y intercepts. I know that you guys can do this, and I know that you know how. Please make sure you are working through these as quickly as possible, showing urgency, but just working incredibly hard. Make sure you're working with a partner and you're working at noise level 1. You will be taking an exit ticket with 5 minutes left of class, so please make sure you are working hard. If you have questions, ask a teammate first, and then you can go ahead and see if you can ask the teacher or have them replay parts of the video if necessary. With that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Please make sure you pick up your You've Got Problems and the Scantron, and also you get your interim and your correction sheet back. You also have your nightly homework in your packet tonight. Don't freak out. Your nightly homework should take you at most 10 minutes, and do a couple problems from each of your other homeworks tonight. So tomorrow I will be collecting the homework at the end of your packet, and you are to continue to work on your interim and your You've Got Problems. All right. I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Good luck.